à la justice. Deuxième engagement, garantir la participation effective des femmes au processus de paix. La paix durable se construit avec elles, pas sans elles. Troisième engagement, protéger l'avenir des filles par des mesures d'urgence pour maintenir et rétablir la scolarisation et prévenir le mariage d'enfants. Appel à l'action. Concrètement, nous appelons à l'action. La création d'un fonds d'urgence régional dédié aux services de santé sexuelle et reproductive SRH et à la prise en charge psychosociale. L'instauration de quotas opérationnels garantissant la présence des femmes dans toutes les médiations soutenues par la communauté internationale. Le lancement d'un plan d'urgence pour la scolarisation des filles dans les zones de conflit et de déplacement. La protection des femmes et des filles n'est pas une option, c'est une condition de paix durable. Agissons maintenant. Merci.
Now we have the delegation from the Chad.
Okay. Madame la Présidente, Mesdames et Messieurs les parlementaires, chers collègues, c'est un honneur de prendre la parole devant vous aujourd'hui, ici en Turquie, pour aborder un sujet qui est au cœur de la reconstruction de ma nation, le sort des femmes dans l'après-conflit au Tchad. Le Tchad, après des décennies de résilience face aux crises sécuritaires, se trouve à un tournant. Si le silence des armes est une victoire, les cicatrices invisibles portées par les femmes restent un défi majeur pour notre stabilité durable. Le fardeau de la précarité socio-économique, pendant et après les conflits, les femmes tchadiennes deviennent souvent les seuls chefs de famille. Elles font face à la pauvreté accrue, privées d'accès à la terre et au crédit dans certaines zones rurales. L'informalité de survie, elle porte l'économie sociale à bout de bras sans protection sociale adéquate. Les séquelles psychologiques et les violences basées sur les genres, les post-conflits néfastes par les traumatismes. Nous observons des persistances des violences qui nécessitent un renforcement urgent des structures de prise en charge médicale, psychologique, une lutte acharnée contre l'impunité pour restaurer la dignité des survivantes. La femme comme pilier de la consolidation de la paix, on ne peut reconstruire le Tchad sans celle qui en constitue le socle. L'impact post-conflit doit être transformé en opportunité par l'inclusion politique, assurer la voix des femmes soit entendue dans les instances de décision.
We thank you, the delegates from Chad. Thank you.
Merci.
Dear colleagues, the list is closed. Thank you for your questions. And we have Mexican Ambassador Javier Diaz and the Consul General Alberto Fierro. Welcome to Istanbul, to Turkey. Now the delegates from Pakistan has the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As conflicts intensify across the world, women and girls are not only disproportionately affected, they're increasingly excluded from protection, participation, and opportunity. This is not just a humanitarian concern, it is a failure of implementation. Speaking on behalf of Pakistan's delegation, I would like to focus on solutions. First, international humanitarian law must be enforced consistently without selectivity. The issue today is not the absence of frameworks, but the absence of accountability. Second, parliaments must legislate for gender-responsive humanitarian systems, ensuring that the needs of women and girls are fully embedded in funding, design, and delivery. Third, women participation in peace processes must be guaranteed, not merely encouraged. Without representation, there can be no sustainable peace. Fourth, conflict-related sexual violence must be explicitly criminalized, with strong accountability mechanisms to ensure perpetrators are prosecuted, not protected. In Pakistan, we have taken legislative steps to strengthen protections against sexual and domestic violence. But our focus remains on implementation because laws without enforcement cannot deliver justice. Fifth, access to education and essential services for girls must be protected even in the most fragile contexts. Sixth, we must invest in real-time data and monitoring systems so that violations are not only recorded but acted upon with urgency. And finally, what we are witnessing today is not just the rise of conflict, it is a broader pushback against gender equality itself. That is why our response must also be economic. We must invest in women's economic empowerment, protect livelihoods, and ensure access to financial systems, because without economic agency, rights remain theoretical. The framework exists. The commitments have been made. What is required now is political will, consistency, and delivery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I call on the delegation of China, followed by the delegation of Russian Federation.
Okay. Respected Chair, colleagues, it's a great honor to be here. As we say in Chinese, women are half of the sky. We suggest taking a systematic approach to protect the rights of women and empower more women. First, peace is the foundation of women and girls to enjoy basic rights. Amid escalating global geopolitical conflicts and economic turbulence, women and girls are one of the most vulnerable and victimized groups. So it is important to promote peace instead of conflicts. Second, the rule of law is the guarantee for building a strong defense line for women's rights. The rule of law is the core support for rights protection. All countries should, based on their national conditions, improve their legislative systems for protecting women's rights and interests. Third, our experience in China shows that economic development and prosperity in general provides the positive eco-environment for women's welfare. Women's right to education, healthcare, finance are at the core of women's empowerment. So we believe that China's proposal of Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, the Global Civilization Initiative, and the Global Governance Initiative are also important for women's rights to become reality. Thank you.
Now, the Russian Federation, the floor is yours.
Уважаемые коллеги, по данным ООН, более 676 миллионов женщин живут в радиусе 50 километров от зон боевых действий. Это рекордный показатель за десятилетие. Военные конфликты ведут за собой серьезные экономические, гуманитарные и экологические последствия. Весь мир был в шоке от удара по школе в Иране, жертвами которых стало более 170 человек, школьниц и учителей. Разрушение социальной инфраструктуры лишает женщин и девочек доступа к образованию, медицинской помощи, продовольствию, нормальным условиям жизни. Более 100 стран приняли национальные планы по реализации повестки «Женщины, мир и безопасность». На фоне происходящих событий ООН призывает обеспечить участие женщин в мирных переговорах. При этом важно уделять внимание вопросам расширения их компетенций и качественной профессиональной подготовки. Примером активного участия женщин в миротворческих процессах является работа уполномоченного по правам человека в Российской Федерации и уполномоченного по правам ребенка, которые ведут розыск и оказывают помощь как российским, так и украинским детям, попавшим в трудную жизненную ситуацию. Эффективной площадкой является Евразийский женский форум. Он проводится с 2015 года под эгидой Совета Федерации и Межпарламентской ассамблеи стран СНГ. Его цель – консолидация женщин-лидеров в интересах мира и гуманитарного сотрудничества. В итоговом документе последнего форума участницам из 126 стран была подчеркнута убежденность во взаимосвязанности судеб всех народов и в том, что ни одно государство не вправе обеспечивать собственную безопасность за счет безопасности других государств. Пользуясь случаем, приглашаю вас на следующий форум, который запланирован к проведению в 2027 году. Работа по его подготовке уже началась. Убеждена, что сегодняшняя дискуссия станет еще одним шагом к построению справедливого и безопасного мира. Спасибо.
Thank you. Now I call on the delegation of Vietnam, followed by the delegation of Timor-Leste.
Thank you.
Floris.
Distinguished Madam Chair, distinguished delegates, we are deeply concerned by a troubling reality as armed conflicts increase and become more complex. The rights of women and girls are increasingly at risk. They are among the most vulnerable, facing loss of life, disrupted education, limited access to health care, and high risks of violence and poverty. Sustainable peace cannot be achieved if their rights are neglected. Vietnam views gender equality not only as a goal, but as a pillar of inclusive growth. Even in challenging contexts, we have taken concrete actions. We adopted our National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security in 2024, increasing women's participation in peacekeeping and strengthening their capacity to respond to climate and disaster-related risks. We are implementing the revised law on domestic violence prevention and control to address gender-based violence and harmful stereotypes. We are expanding protection for women workers, especially in informal and migrant sectors, through improved wage and social insurance policies. And we prioritize girls' education, particularly in remote and disadvantaged areas, as the strongest safeguard against exploitation. To move forward, Vietnam proposed 4 priorities for Parliament. First, strengthen legal frameworks, including integrating international labor and human rights standards. Second, promote green jobs and inclusive digital transformation. Third, invest in vocational training and skills development for women. Fourth, enhance regional parliamentary cooperation to share best practice on gender-responsive development. Vietnam remains committed to advancing the Sustainable Development Goals and ensuring that no woman or girl is left behind. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Now, Timor-Leste and followed by Tajikistan.
Excelentíssima Presidente, distintos colegas da grande família parlamentar. Venho de um país que sabe que a paz não se constrói apenas por homens. Durante os 24 anos de luta pela independência, as mulheres timorenses foram um pilar fundamental da resistência, operando na logística, atuando na diplomacia e garantindo a proteção dos sobreviventes na frente clandestina. A nossa história ensinou-nos que a voz das mulheres é indispensável para a construção de uma paz sustentável. Sabemos ainda que, em momentos difíceis, as mulheres assumem também papéis fundamentais na proteção das famílias e das comunidades, demonstrando uma resiliência que nos inspira a todos. Por isso, Timor-Leste reafirma o seu compromisso com a Resolução 1325 do Conselho de Segurança da ONU. Aprovamos o Plano de Ação Nacional sobre Mulheres, Paz e Segurança, inspirando nos 4 pilares principais: participação, prevenção, proteção e construção da paz. Fomos a 3ª nação do Sudeste Asiático a implementá-lo. Em 2024, lançamos a 2ª geração deste plano, que responde aos novos riscos, incluindo alterações climáticas, cibersegurança e tráfico humano. Os resultados são concretos e visíveis. Atualmente, 38% dos nossos deputados são mulheres, o que representa uma das mais elevadas taxas de participação feminina no Sudoeste Asiático. Pela primeira vez, o Parlamento Nacional é liderado por uma mulher presidente, a senhora deputada Maria Fernanda Lai. O nosso setor da segurança também de forma inedita. Muito recente, uma mulher assumiu o cargo de segurança de segundo comandante-geral da Polícia Nacional Timor-Leste, ao nível do poder local. 2 das 13 autoridades municipais do país são presididas por mulheres. No entanto, ainda enfrentamos vários desafios, nomeadamente limitações orçamentais que ameaçam a execução dos planos. Ainda assim, continuamos a assumir com determinação o nosso compromisso de transformar as lições do passado em políticas inclusivas e duradouras, através da alocação de recursos específicos para proteger e empoderar as mulheres meninas, especialmente em situações de fragilidade. Uma boa prática.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Tajikistan has the floor.
Уважаемые господа председатели, уважаемые коллеги, позвольте выразить искреннюю признательность организаторам форума за предоставленную возможность выступить от Республики Таджикистан. Опыт Таджикистана как страны, пережившей конфликт, показывает, что ни одно общество не может достичь устойчивой стабильности, если половина его человеческого потенциала остается невостребованной. Необходима прочная правовая основа. Конституция страны гарантирует равенство перед законом, запрещает гендерную дискриминацию и защищает права женщин и семьи. А переходные процессы предоставляют важное окно возможностей для инклюзии. После заключения мирного соглашения женщины в Таджикистане активно участвовали в консультациях. Они стали ключевым драйвером восстановления и развития. Гендерная политика в стране реализуется через ключевые государственные программы, гендерно-ориентированное бюджетирование и тесное сотрудничество с международными партнерами. Необходим комплексный подход к защите прав. В Таджикистане продолжает укреплять правовые гарантии Таджикистан, профилактические меры, межведомственное взаимодействие и системы сбора данных для эффективной борьбы с насилием в отношениях женщин. В стране развивается гендерно-чувствительное правосудие через подготовку юридических специалистов, институциональные реформы и поддержку пострадавших. Это способствует росту доверия к судебной системе. И экономическое расширение возможностей женщин в стране является основой устойчивого мира. Расширение доступа к предпринимательству, сельскому хозяйству и занятости повышает устойчивость и снижает уязвимость. Уважаемые коллеги, один из ключевых уроков опыта Таджикистана заключается в том, что прогресс возможен только через партнерство с международными организациями, гражданским обществом, с местным сообществом. И в заключение позвольте выделить несколько ключевых принципов. Правовые рамки должны подкрепляться эффективными механизмами реализации. Переходные периоды следует использовать для расширения участия женщин. Сильные институты необходимы для защиты прав. Экономическое участие женщин лежит в основе устойчивого мира. И главный посыл очевиден. Инвестиции в участие женщин – это не только вопрос равенства, но необходимое условие мира.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now Lesotho has the floor, followed by Guyana.
Your Excellency, Honorable Chair, today's topic is not only relevant but appeals to current conflicts and the world, which are negatively affecting the life of ordinary citizens and exposing women and girls to multiple and concurrent emotional, physical, psychological, sexual, and human violations. Women and girls do not start conflict and wars, but are always first-hand victims. They get robbed of their economic and social rights, which are already compromised. Their lives and bodies are used in the tactics of war as a battlefield to dehumanize them and dismantle their social fiber. They force women and girls to leave their safe and stable homes. In the process, they face starvation due to loss of livelihoods and land. During conflicts and wars, girls are forced out of school and are abducted and trafficked for sexual exploitation, forced prostitution, and sometimes into forced early marriages. Excellencies, conflicts and wars disrupt healthcare and medical facilities. They interrupt safe and stable homes. They deny women and girls access to medical care and services, especially victims of sexual violations, resulting in early and unplanned pregnancies, HIV and AIDS infections, as well as infant and mortality and maternal mortality. Dear colleagues, we call upon you through your parliaments to devotedly implement affirmative action. We call upon you to allocate budgets specifically for women and girls to rebuild and reconstruct their lives post-conflict and wars. In Lesotho, we have enacted laws that safeguard women and girls' safety by giving them access to resources that they were prohibited from accessing in their past, titled Legal Capacity of Women of Married Persons 2016. We have also enacted laws that give harsh punishment to perpetrators of violations against women and girls.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Guyana has the floor, followed by Liechtenstein.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With increased armed conflicts in the world, more women and girls are killed, raped, starved, dehumanized, and treated to the worst indignities. Guyana recognizes that access to justice is a right, fundamental to the achievement of gender equality, and I share some of the bold steps we have taken. Government's roadmap involves direct allocation of resources towards an integrated, accessible ecosystem of empowerment and the dismantling of structural barriers and creation of progressive legislative and policy frameworks that improve access to support services and the reporting of violence. We have implemented the 2024 Family Violence Act with an expanded definition of violence and both civil and criminal measures, amended the Sexual Offences Act to include a sex offenders registry, developed policies on gender and family-based violence, harassment, specialized courts, public education on rights. Guyana's harnessing of digital technology allows 24-hour reporting and access to comprehensive services. Guyana's successful one-stop hope and justice centers have provided survivors of violence with access to reporting, free medical care, legal and psychosocial support, survivor advocate services, and safe shelter all in one space. Guyana's intentional policy of moving women towards economic autonomy recognizes that security comes from ownership. 60% of government-distributed housing lands are owned by women, and there is a significant investment in women's free education, economic empowerment, and integration into the formal economy. Combating pervasive harassment and violence faced by women on social media remains a challenge. Despite cybercrime legislation, perpetrators escape accountability, hiding behind veils of anonymity. Tech companies must partner with governments to ensure safe spaces for users and justice for victims. All of us must advocate for perpetrators to be held accountable. Impunity fuels continued violence.
Thank you very much.
Unacceptable that women remain locked out of most peace processes, relegated to the role of victims without the agency to effect changes. They must lead the change. In conclusion, Guyana remains an advocate for peace consistently. I emphasize that achievement of equality for women and girls, respect for their human rights, and their safety and access to justice is inextricably linked to a progressive and stable world and all of our efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Now, Liechtenstein has the floor, followed by South Africa.
Dear colleagues, I speak to you from the perspective of the small state of Liechtenstein. The dramatic rise in conflicts around the world shows one thing very clearly. When institutions fail, women and girls are the first to lose their rights, their safety, and their voice. This is not only a reality in conflict-affected countries, it's a warning to all of us. The experience of stable states such as Liechtenstein is clear. Investment in gender equality, education, the rule of law, and strong institutions is not a luxury. It is a core element of peace prevention. Prevention is not only more effective, it's also far less costly than repairing damage later. A key lesson from our work is that political commitments alone are not enough. Parliaments have a responsibility to anchor equality structurally through legislation, through budgetary decisions, and through effective parliamentary oversight. Our concrete example from Liechtenstein, we have established a unit for equal opportunities, which acts as a coordinating body and works closely with women's organizations and civil society. Through binding service agreements with the Ministry of Social Affairs, preventive work, protection measures, and awareness raising are secured in a sustainable way. In addition, we are currently developing a national gender equality strategy to ensure that equality is addressed across all policy areas with clear goals and accountability. The experience shows that reliable structures, stable funding, and institutionalized cooperation make gender equality more resilient, especially in times of crisis. And resilience protects women and girls. The Women, Peace and Security agenda needs exactly the kind of political pressure from us as parliamentarians. Our task is to turn commitments into concrete improvements.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And South Africa has the floor, followed by Bahrain.
Thank you, Madam President and honorable members. We must state this without ambiguity. No mineral, no resources, no strategic interest, and no economic gain is with the life of a woman or a child. Any model of development or security built on their suffering is illegitimate. Honorable members, the international humanitarian framework is clear. The Geneva Convention and international human rights law explicitly prohibits torture, sexual violence, and attacks on civilians. What is lacking is not the law. It is consistent enforcement, accountability, and political will. Honorable President, South Africa approaches these issues informed by its own history and constitutional values, which affirm the inherent dignity and equality of all people. We will continue to support the conflict prevention and peacekeeping efforts on the United Nations, the African Union, and SADC. We are proud of the contribution of South African soldiers to peacekeeping missions across the continent since the advent of democracy. South Africa maintains that freedom is indivisible. We cannot consider ourselves free while people in Palestine, Sudan, and other conflict-affected contexts continue to endure occupation of oppression and war. As parliamentarians, we have a duty to ensure that national laws, budget, and oversight mechanisms prioritize the protection of civilians, particularly women and children and persons with disability. This includes demanding accountability for torture and sexual violence, strengthening survivor-centered support, and ensuring that economic pursuits, including in the extractive sector, do not fuel conflict or reinforce systems of domination. Honorable President, in conclusion, we must reject any narrative that treats the suffering of women and children as inevitable consequences of war.
Thank you very much.
I thank you.
Thanks a lot. Now the Bahrain has the floor, followed by Mexico.
Thank you, Madam President. وأشكركم على مناقشة هذا الموضوع والذي يأتي في سياق دولي بالغ الحساسية تتزايد فيه النزاعات المسلحة وتتراجع فيه مكتسبات تحققت عبر عقود طويلة في مجال حقوق المرأة. فقد أظهرت النزاعات الحديثة أن العنف ضد النساء والفتيات يتخذ أشكالاً متعددة تتجاوز العنف الجسدي إلى العنف النفسي والاقتصادي والمؤسسي، وأن هذا العنف غالباً ما يتفاقم في بيئات العقاب وضعف مؤسسات الدولة، كما تؤدي النزاعات إلى تعميق فجوات عدم المساواة وإقصاء النساء عن دوائر صنع القرار. وفي المقابل تؤكد التجارب الدولية أن النساء لسن مجرد ضحايا للنزاعات بل فاعلات أساسيات في منعها وفي بناء السلام وفي قيادة جهود التعافي وإعادة الإعمار. ومن هنا تبرز أهمية أجندة المرأة والسلام والأمن بوصفها إطار متكامل لا يكتفي بحماية النساء أثناء النزاعات، بل يسعى إلى تمكينهن كشريكات في صنع القرار ومؤثرات في صياغة الحلول وقائدات في مراحل ما بعد النزاع. غير أن التحدي الحقيقي يكمن في الانتقال من الالتزام السياسي إلى التنفيذ العملي، ومن النصوص الدولية إلى السياسات الوطنية القابلة للقياس والمساءلة. وهنا تتحمل البرلمانات مسؤولية محورية بوصفها الجهة التشريعية والرقابية التي تترجم الالتزامات الدولية إلى قوانين وطنية وسياسات عامة، ويتمثل هذا الدور في سن تشريعات تجرم جميع أشكال العنف القائم على النوع الاجتماعي وتكفل حماية الناجيات وتضمن وصولهن إلى العدالة والخدمات، كما يتمثل في اعتماد سياسات داعمة لمشاركة المرأة في مؤسسات السلام والأمن وفي تخصيص الموارد اللازمة لتنفيذ الخطط الوطنية ذات الصلة ومراقبة أدائها وأثرها على أرض الواقع.
Thank you very much. And Mexico has the floor, followed by Uzbekistan.
Muy buenas tardes, compañeras y compañeros, querida presidenta. En México tenemos claridad de que la construcción de una paz duradera, entendida esta no solo como la ausencia de violencia, sino como la presencia de condiciones estructurales de justicia, de equidad y de bienestar, los parlamentarios tenemos una responsabilidad ineludible: asumir un papel activo en la elaboración de un andamiaje jurídico que propicie la construcción de políticas públicas orientadas a la conformación de una cultura de paz positiva, con la participación indispensable de las mujeres, que hay que señalar, en nuestro país hemos alcanzado la paridad en la representación legislativa. Esto implica generar marcos normativos que atiendan las causas profundas de la violencia, que fortalezcan las instituciones de justicia, que promuevan la cohesión social y que garantice oportunidades sociales de una vida digna para todas y para todos, de manera especial para las mujeres y las niñas. La ciudadanía nos observa y nos exige acuerdos que trasciendan intereses inmediatos y se oriente hacia el empoderamiento de las mujeres en todos los órdenes, empezando por la autosuficiencia económica. Por lo que hoy, más que nunca, el mundo requiere colocar en el centro de nuestro quehacer político una agenda legislativa de paz, donde las mujeres sean prioridad. En México, en medio de la crisis de violencia que vivimos, la articulación en la sociedad civil, entre la sociedad civil y actores políticos nos da evidencia de que es posible construir consensos amplios desde la inclusión en el análisis de las causas estructurales de la violencia. Desde el Poder Legislativo estamos avanzando en la construcción de políticas públicas orientadas a la pacificación y a convertir la paz en una prioridad efectiva, en un eje estratégico que garantice la seguridad y la cohesión social y el futuro de desarrollo para México y el mundo.
Thank you very much. Now, Speaker of Uzbekistan, Madam Speaker, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Уважаемый председатель, дорогие коллеги, сегодня, говоря о конфликтах, мы говорим не только о геополитике, мы говорим о судьбах миллионов женщин и девочек, потому что в условиях нестабильности их права нарушаются в первую очередь. В условиях кризисов именно женщины чаще всего теряют доступ к образованию, медицинской помощи и защите. Но самое опасное, они теряют голос. Общество, в котором женщины лишены голоса, теряет устойчивость, развитие и будущее. Этот вызов требует от нас не декларации, а системных решений. Уважаемые коллеги, В Узбекистане вопросы прав и возможностей женщин рассматриваются не изолированно, а в тесной увязке с ключевыми задачами развития, сокращением бедности, обеспечением занятости, доступом к качественному образованию и профессиональной реализации. Именно поэтому в центре наших реформ женщина, ее образование, ее экономическая самостоятельность, ее участие в процессах принятия решений. За последние 10 лет мы приняли важные законы, обеспечивающие равные возможности для женщин во всех сферах, борьбу с насилием и равенством во всех их проявлениях. Сегодня в стране последовательно расширяются возможности для женщин в получении образования, осваивании профессий, развитии предпринимательства и реализации себя в различных сферах в соответствии со специально принятыми на государственном уровне программами. Усиливаются меры социальной поддержки наиболее уязвимых категорий женщин. Но самое важное, они активно участвуют в общественной, политической жизни, влияют на принятие решений, формируют повестку развития. Сегодня доля женщин в парламенте составляет 38%, а в системе государственного управления 35%. Всемирный банк по индексу «Женщины, бизнес и право» разместил Узбекистан на 48-е место из 190 стран, отметив улучшение позиции страны сразу на 43 пункта по сравнению с предыдущим отчетом. Уважаемые друзья, реализуя комплекс мер по обеспечению прав женщин и девочек, мы наблюдаем за глобальной ситуацией, которая остается тревожной. Во многих регионах мира права женщин все еще остаются под угрозой. Девочки теряют возможность учиться, женщины – работать, участвовать в общественной и политической жизни. Мы также видим рост рисков гендерного насилия, торговли людьми и принудительных браков. Это не отдельные кризисы, а системный вызов международному сообществу. Именно поэтому в условиях конфликтов защита прав женщин не должна отходить на второй план. Напротив, она должна становиться приоритетом и международной, и национальной повестки. Уважаемые коллеги, парламенты обладают реальным инструментом для изменений. Наша задача не только реагировать, но и предотвращать. Мы должны принимать законы, направленные на искоренение всех форм насилия, обеспечивать доступ женщин к образованию и медицинским услугам даже в кризисных ситуациях, поддерживать экономическую самостоятельность женщин, усиливать парламентский контроль за соблюдением международных обязательств в сфере прав человека. Но даже этих мер недостаточно без нашего эффективного сотрудничества. В этой связи хотела бы подчеркнуть, что Узбекистан открыт к активному взаимодействию. Мы готовы совместно вырабатывать решения, обмениваться опытом в рамках международных парламентских площадок. Сегодня защита прав женщин – это не только вопрос справедливости, это вопрос глобальной стабильности и безопасности. Мир становится более устойчивым там, где женщины участвуют в принятии решений, там, где защищены их права, сильнее общество. И наоборот, игнорирование этих прав неизбежно приводит к нестабильности. Дорогие коллеги, пользуясь возможностью, хочу пригласить вас принять участие во втором азиатском форуме женщин, который пройдет 14-15 мая в древнем городе Бухаре, Узбекистане.
Madam Speaker, please.
Да, thank you very much. Примите, пожалуйста, наше пожелание, что мы укрепляем мир и устойчивое развитие нашего общего будущего только вместе. Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Now, Speaker Milton Dick from Australia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President, and may I congratulate the Forum of Women for this important topic. As a man, I'm proud to stand here supporting so many strong women as part of the IPU who stand and represent women across the world. And as a man, we have to listen to the voices of women. Madam President, today I talk about an important issue and remind the Forum that on the 1st of April 2 years ago, a female aid worker from Australia called Zomi Frankom was killed delivering aid and care to children suffering in Gaza. And at the time, she was killed with 6 other colleagues. Today, I raise her voice on behalf of all the women who are providing humanitarian aid to conflict, to care and concern. Australia is proud to have led the year-long diplomatic effort to drive global action to protect female humanitarian workers in conflict zones, and the launch of the Declaration of the Protection of Humanitarian Personnel, joined by more than 100 countries. 100 countries, including Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, Japan, Jordan, Sierra Leone, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom, who partnered with Australia to develop the declaration. This is about protecting female aid workers, the most vulnerable in conflicts, who provide care and support to those in need. The measures that we have adopted include a commitment to facilitate access to protect humanitarian female personnel, ensure faster and more efficient visas and work permits, and new joint training for military personnel, particularly for aid workers. Madam President, I'm proud to support this relief and I'm proud to support these resolutions. We need to highlight the fact that women in conflict zones are always the victims and humanitarian aid workers need our support and care. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, thanks a lot, Mr. Speaker. Now Ukraine has the floor, followed by Turkmenistan.
Madam Chair, Madam President, dear colleagues, thank you very much and thank you for addressing this very important topic of women in wars and in conflicts. The fact is very simple. In war, the most vulnerable suffer first, women and children. It's true, as it has been said, social infrastructure is essential for protecting women's rights. But what do we do when social infrastructure is being destroyed on a daily basis? It is deplorable that today, despite repeated political condemnations, including in the resolutions of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Russia has destroyed more than 3,000 schools and continues to do so, and over 1,500 medical institutions have been destroyed in Ukraine by Russia and continue to be done so. This is social infrastructure. This is daily life, deliberately targeted by bombs, artillery, and missiles. Around 6 million women in Ukraine still live in areas affected by war, not 50 kilometers from a combat zone, but right in the middle of it, experiencing the war every minute of every day, under constant threat every day. 7 million Ukrainian refugees, forced from their homes by war. 90% of them are women and children, mothers who have taken their children out into safety, but away from home, because home is no longer an option, because home has been destroyed by Russian drones and missiles. In this war, over 20,000 Ukrainian children have been abducted by Russia, a deliberate strategy, not a collateral of the war. Our reality in Ukraine is also that 75,000 women are in the armed forces. That's 7% of the entire Ukrainian army. More than 55,000 are in active service. Thousands of women on the front line. Our women save, they evacuate, they rewrite the rules of what it means to be a woman in a zone of conflict. They fight the war against the external aggressor, and at the same time, they raise children, they carry families, they become both mother and father to their kids. They step into new roles to keep the economy running, to rebuild, to heal, to protect, and they do not break. Our role as women today is much greater than anyone could have ever imagined. But the rules are still being written for us to feel safe in this new role in the challenging world of today. And we are writing them together in the real time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Turkmenistan has the floor, followed by Romania.
Спасибо большое. Защита прав женщин включает обеспечение их прав, безопасности и равенства. Туркменистан, реализуя миротворческую внешнюю политику в соответствии со статусом постоянного нейтралитета, трижды признанным Генеральной Ассамблеей Организации Объединенных Наций, ставит своей целью содействовать обеспечению всеобщего мира, безопасности и устойчивого развития, а также обеспечению гендерного равенства. Здесь мне хочется отметить, что Туркменистан последовательно реализует социально ориентированную и эффективную гендерную политику, принятые соответствующие законы. Следует отметить, что Туркменистан выступил с предложением учредить первый в истории региона диалог женщин стран Центральной Азии. Подобный формат нацелен на поддержание устойчивого развития и повышение роли женщин в деле укрепления мира и безопасности в региональном измерении. Данная структура создана при участии регионального центра Организации Объединенных Наций по превентивной дипломатии для Центральной Азии и программы развития ООН. Диалог способствует реализации повестки «Женщин, мир и безопасность». В настоящее время в Туркменистане разрабатывается проект «Национальный план действий Туркменистана по реализации резолюции Совета безопасности ООН 1325 «Женщины, мир и безопасность» на 2026-2030 годы. За последнее десятилетие Туркменистан добился существенного прогресса в решении и предотвращении безгражданства в пределах своих границ. официально став второй страной в мире, искоренившей безгражданство. В 2024 году Туркменистан стал первым государством в СНГ, присоединившимся к глобальному альянсу по искоренению безгражданства. Это яркое свидетельство полного и успешного соблюдения Туркменистаном Конвенции ООН о статусе беженцев, о статусе апатридов и о сокращении безгражданства. Хотелось бы отметить, что Туркменистан всегда выступает с соответствующими предложениями по инициативе и принятию в 2025 году специальной резолюции Генеральной Ассамблеи Организации Объединенных Наций Международным годом мира и доверия. Также роль регионального центра ООН по превентивной дипломатии для Центральной Азии, зона мира, доверия и сотрудничества Центральной Азии, Международный год диалога как гарантия мира, договор о зоне свободной от ядерного оружия в Центральной Азии. Также на 80-й сессии Генеральной Ассамблеи Организации Объединенных Наций Туркменистан инициировал объявление 2028 года Годом международного права, что станет важным шагом в укреплении международных правовых основ мира и сотрудничества. Спасибо
Thank you,
большое.
ma'am. Thank you very much. And Romania has the floor, followed by Thailand.
Thank you, Chair. Romania has been on the front line of the war in Ukraine, not only geographically, but institutionally. We moved fast from logistic and medical support to something equally important, protecting women and girls in refugee settings. We introduced practical solutions, Ukrainian-speaking staff, direct assistance for victims of gender-based violence, and safe spaces adapted to women's needs. This is what we learned. Protection must be built from day one, not added later. In this context, I propose the creation in Bucharest, Romania, of a regional center for women, peace and security in partnership with NATO, the European Union, Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova, a hub dedicated to training and cooperation across the entire eastern flank. I wish to reiterate the security role of our country in the European and international security architecture and as a pillar of stability in the Black Sea region. Conflicts today affect women in very concrete ways, and yet, despite this, they are still absent from decision-making. Why? Because inclusion is still optional. Peace negotiations are dominated by those already in power, and women are too often outside the circle. Without clear rules and political will, this does not change. In my capacity as chair of the Joint Special Parliamentary Commission Romania Without Domestic Violence, I am proud that we moved from words to action. Recently, in the Parliament of Romania, we adopted a historic law that introduces the definition of femicide and removes procedural barriers in investigating rape. Parliaments must deliver, not just debate. Looking ahead, the priority is simple. Stop treating women's participation as a principle and start treating it as a condition for better policies, a condition for real security, and a condition for lasting peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now Thailand has the floor, followed by France. But dear colleagues, we are running out of time. Please keep your comments and questions to 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much. Madam Chairperson, delegates and colleagues, as global conflicts are increasing, often affecting women and girls the most, let me give the example for Thailand, especially in the southern border that have created serious challenges for our local communities. Women and children in these areas face daily threats. Women carry heavier family burdens and children suffer from stress, family separations, and interrupting schooling. In response to this situation, first, the Thai Parliament works to reduce these impacts through laws, oversight, and budget support. We back legal frameworks to prevent violence and build lasting peace. Our goal is to turn this policy into practice. To guide this, we developed our first National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security for 2025 to 2027, working closely with UN Women and civil society. Second,
Locally, the disaster care centers provide counseling, legal help, and social support. We deliver urgent care to children in crisis and offer dedicated relief for vulnerable groups. We also have Women Empowerment Center, which is the community programs that empower women through training in conflict management. Madam Chairperson, delegates, and colleagues, the peace cannot be achieved by one country alone. It requires strong international collaboration. As women parliamentarians, we share a collective responsibilities to ensure every woman and girl can live in safety, hope, and dignity.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. And now France has the floor, followed by United Arab Emirates.
Madame la Présidente, Mesdames et Messieurs les parlementaires, chers collègues, en 2019, la France a inscrit la diplomatie féministe au cœur de son action extérieure. Depuis, le contexte international s'est fortement dégradé, les conflits se multiplient, les régimes autoritaires gagnent du terrain et les espaces démocratiques se réduisent. Dans ce climat tendu, les et l'égalité de genre sont devenus des enjeux cruciaux et des lignes de fracture majeures dans les relations internationales. Les droits sexuels et reproductifs reculent, y compris dans certaines démocraties. Des mouvements anti-droits se structurent à l'échelle internationale et mènent des offensives coordonnées pour affaiblir les normes des droits humains. Ce backlash se fonde sur une stratégie globale qui s'inscrit dans une remise en cause de l'état de droit, de l'universalité des droits et du multilatéralisme. Ces attaques représentent un véritable enjeu démocratique et sécuritaire. Le contrôle des corps et des libertés est souvent un signe de dérive autoritaire. La montée des idéologistes masculinistes, des cyberviolences et des discours antiféministes contribuent à fragiliser les démocraties. Dans ce contexte, la diplomatie féministe doit être considérée comme un outil stratégique. Elle permet de protéger des vies, de soutenir des défenseurs des droits humains et de favoriser la participation des femmes au processus de paix. Elle contribue aussi à construire des sociétés plus justes, plus stables. Pourtant, elle reste encore insuffisamment soutenue et institutionnalisée. C'est pourquoi il est essentiel d'inscrire durablement la diplomatie féministe dans les politiques publiques à l'échelle mondiale, à garantir les financements stables, à améliorer les mécanismes de suivi et soutenir les organisations féministes. Nous devons nous y emparer.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Now, United Arab Emirates, followed by Cambodia.
السلام عليكم السيدات والسادة.
Followed by Cambodia.
يسعدني المشاركة في هذا النقاش حول تصاعد النزاعات وآثارها المتزايدة على حقوق النساء والفتيات، لا سيما في ظل الأزمات الممتدة التي تعمق أوجه عدم المساواة بين الجنسين، وإن مواجهة هذه التحديات تمثل مسؤولية جماعية تتطلب استجابات سياسية وتشريعية وإنسانية متكاملة. ونؤكد أن حماية النساء والفتيات وتمكينهن تشكل ركيزة أساسية لتحقيق السلام العادل المستدام. وعليه ترى الشعبة البرلمانية الإماراتية أهمية ما يلي: أولاً، تعزيز الدور البرلماني في دعم الاستجابات الإنسانية المراعية للنوع الاجتماعي، ولا سيما ما يتعلق بحماية النساء والفتيات من مختلف أشكال العنف والاستغلال والانتهاكات في أوضاع النزاعات والنزوح. ثانياً، ترسيخ المشاركة الفاعلة للمرأة في عمليات السلام وإعادة الإعمار من خلال إشراكها بصورة حقيقية في مفاوضات السلام والوساطة وإعادة البناء والاستثمار، في بناء قدراتها القيادية وتعزيز التعاون البرلماني الدولي لتبادل الخبرات وأفضل الممارسات. السيدات والسادة، تؤكد دولة الإمارات التزامها الراسخ بهذه المبادئ، حيث اعتمدت في عام 2021 أول خطة عمل وطنية في منطقة الخليج لتنفيذ قرار مجلس الأمن رقم 1325 بشأن المرأة والسلام والأمن، في خطوة ريادية تعكس نهجاً مؤسسياً متقدماً لإدراج في الوقاية من النزاعات.
Now, Cambodia has the floor, followed by Nepal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is true that when conflict increases, the rights of women and girls often become weaker. That is why Cambodia continues to join every year the global 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, starting from November 25th to December 10. Today, violence does not only happen at home or in communities, it also happens online. Women and girls face harassment, bullying, cyber-stalking, and the sharing of private images without their consent. This creates fear, shame, and silence, and stops them from fully participating in society. Cambodia is responding in 3 ways: strengthening awareness that online violence is real and harmful, strengthening support for survivors and accountability for perpetrators, and strengthening cooperation between the government, development partners, civil society, and the private sector. Ending violence against women is essential for lasting peace. When women are not safe, communities cannot truly develop.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank ma'am. Ma'am, thanks a lot. Now we have the Ireland, followed by Nepal.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. As a senator from Ireland, I feel I can speak from lived experience because our island knows what conflicts costs, and we know what it takes to end it also. Ireland's peace process, the Good Friday Agreement, is proof that women don't just support peace, but they build it also. In 1996, women's groups came together, worried their voices would be shut out of the talks entirely. They founded the Northern Ireland Women's Coalition, which secured seats at the negotiating table. Because they were trusted as honest brokers across both communities, they were called on at the most critical moments, keeping communication alive when one of the main Republican parties were excluded. They brought victims' rights, education and mixed housing into the agreement, issues the main parties hadn't even addressed, which proved essential to lasting peace. But we have to be honest, despite those commitments, women remain underrepresented in Northern Irish politics. The work is unfinished. The lesson from Ireland is simple. Where women are excluded from peace, peace doesn't last. And where women's rights decline, conflict rises. The two are inseparable. Ireland's experience shows the world what's possible, but it also shows that inclusion has to be sustained, not just granted in a moment of crisis. Women are not a special interest. We are the condition for lasting peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Nepal has the floor, followed by Oman.
Good afternoon, everyone in this room. Madam Chairperson, women are golden gift for the country and sunshine of the world. Women brings love, light, and joy, but still we are having problems and we have been threatening and challenges besides opportunities. Actually, as we are talking about post-conflict management and having just lasting peace, since the morning I have been looking forward that we are liking to highlight much about artificial intelligence. AI also creating opportunities as side-by-side challenges as well, because not only the print media, audio, video creates problem for girls, women, because a girl having her voice with videos with her same face, but she's saying that it's not her. It's not her verdict, but people are looking after it. So how can we control this cyberbullying? And cyberbullying is gaining ground, so we need at this time, as also resolutions also highlighted some of these points, so every country should need Social Media Act. Legislation Act is very important to control. While we are trying this, unfortunately, the government has to pull down. So IPU can play critical role.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now Oman has the floor, followed by Tanzania.
السيدة رئيسة
الجلسة. السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. لقد أحرزت المرأة تقدما ملحوظا عالميا، وفي سلطنة عمان حققت حضورا فاعلا في المؤسسات التشريعية، حيث تبلغ نسبة تمثيلها في مجلس عمان 10.23%، وترتفع إلى 21% في مجلس الدولة، وهي مؤشرات إيجابية تعكس مسارا متناميا نحو التمكين. السيدات والسادة، تؤكد سلطنة عمان بقيادة حضرة صاحب الجلالة السلطان هيثم بن طارق حفظه الله ورعاه موقفها الثابت الداعي إلى التهدئة والحلول السلمية، انطلاقا من نهجها الراسخ في دعم السلام وحرصها على أن تبقى حماية المرأة الأولوية في جميع الجهود الدولية. فالمرأة هي أساس التعافي وبناء السلام، وحمايتها اليوم هو ضمان لمستقبل آمن ومستدام للجميع. شكرا لكم.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we go to Tanzania, followed by Arab Parliament.
Thank you for the floor, Madam Chair. Tanzania, under Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, wishes to underscore that conflicts continue to disproportionately affect women and girls through heightening gender-based violence, displacement, disruption of education, and reduced access to essential health and protection services. We are particularly concerned that women remain underrepresented in peace negotiations and decision-making processes despite their central role in peace building, mediation, and community resilience. Tanzania therefore wishes to make 3 points. First, women and girls must be protected at all stages of conflicts, post-conflict recovery through strengthening legal framework, access to justice, and the prevention of conflict-related sexual violence. Second, sustainable peace cannot be achieved without the fully, equally, and meaningful participation of women in peace negotiation, mediation efforts, and reconstruction processes. Third, parliaments have a critical responsibility to act through legislation oversight and gender-responsive budgeting to ensure that commitment and the women peace security agenda are fully implemented, especially during and post-conflict period. The Parliament of Tanzania remains committed to support women leadership, dignity, and protection to translating global commitment into concrete action at national and regional levels. My name is Fatma Rembo, Member of Parliament of Tanzania. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we have Mr. Ahlam, followed by Mr. Santal Fani.
شكرا. Merci Madame la Présidente.
شكرا سيدة الرئيسة. السيدات والسادة، إذا أردنا أن نفهم حقيقة النزاعات اليوم فعلينا أن ننظر إليها من زاوية من يدفع الثمن الأكبر. إن الأرقام التي جاءت في المذكرة التوضيحية لموضوع حلقة النقاش ليست مجرد بيانات، بل تعكس واقعا مقلق. أكثر من 185 نزاعا مسلح في عام واحد، وآلاف الحالات الموثقة من العنف الجنسي المرتبط بالنزاعات بزيادة غير مسبوقة. لكن الأخطر من ذلك ليس فقط حجم النزاعات، بل في آثارها الخطيرة على النساء والفتيات، سواء من حيث فقدان سبل العيش أو محدودية الوصول إلى الخدمات الأساسية أو التعرض للعنف أو حتى الإقصاء من التعليم والمشاركة العامة. السيدات والسادة، إن التحدي الحقيقي ليس فقط حماية النساء في أوقات النزاع، بل إعادة صياغة الاستجابة الدولية والوطنية للنزاعات بحيث تكون شاملة منذ البداية. اسمحوا لي في هذا السياق أن أطرح مجموعة من المقترحات العملية. أولاً، إدماج خدمات الحماية والدعم للنساء والفتيات كجزء أساسي من الاستجابة الطارئة للنزاعات، بما في ذلك الرعاية الصحية والدعم النفسي والاجتماعي، وليس كخدمات لاحقة أو ثانوية. ثانياً، إنشاء آليات وطنية لرصد العنف القائم على النوع الاجتماعي في سياقات النزاع، وربطها مباشرة بالبرلمانات لضمان المساءلة والتشريع المبني على البيانات. ثالثاً، إدماج الفتيات في خطط التعليم في حالات الطوارئ من خلال برنامج التعليم مرنة وآمنة، لأن انقطاع التعليم هو أحد أخطر الآثار طويلة المدى للنزاعات. الحضور الكريم، إن النساء والفتيات لسن فقط الأكثر تضرراً من النزاعات، بل يمكن أن يكون أحد أهم مفاتيح الخروج منها. شكراً.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we have the President of ECOFAS, Santal Fani, followed by Assembly Parlementaire de l'Arabe Francophonie.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Le thème qui nous réunit nous appelle à cultiver l'espoir, mais soyons lucides. Hope is not declared, it's built. and it cannot be built without women. In our region, one reality persists. As conflicts intensify, women's and girls' rights decline. The deeper the crisis, the more women carry, but the less they decide. And yet they are the ones who sustain the resilience of our society. We stand before you today on behalf of ECOFIPA, the network of ECOWAS women parliamentarians. We cannot build peace without those who sustain it every day. When women participate, process change. When women decide, peace lasts. C'est dans cette dynamique que nous portons en partenariat avec ECOFIPA, la mise en place de l'Observatoire africain de l'inclusion féminine dans les institutions et les États, afin de transformer les engagements en résultats mesurables et fiables. Et avec l'appui du Centre de la Commission de la CEDEAO pour le genre, nous développons le mentorat intergénérationnel. Autonomiser une femme aujourd'hui, c'est façonner une décideuse de demain. Il ne suffit plus d'inviter les femmes à la table. L'inclusion n'est pas une faveur, c'est une condition de stabilité. Nous avons à la CEDEAO, via ECOFIPA et l'Observatoire, commencé le travail. Car chaque recul des femmes dans les droits est un recul de la démocratie. Il n'y aura ni paix durable, ni avenir crédible sans le leadership des femmes. Je vous remercie. Thank you. Obrigado.
Thank you very much. Now, Assembly Parliamentary de la Francophonie has the floor, followed by UN Special Reporter on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Merci, Madame la Présidente du Forum des femmes parlementaires, chers collègues. Le thème qui nous réunit aujourd'hui, intensification des conflits et recul des droits des femmes et des filles, n'est pas un slogan. C'est une réalité et une réalité urgente. Une urgence d'abord parce que les conflits se multiplient et avec eux une constante. Les violences sexuelles sont utilisées comme des armes de guerre, des stratégies de domination et de terreur. Une urgence aussi parce que les femmes restent trop souvent exclues des processus de paix alors même qu'elles sont en première ligne des crises et de la reconstruction. L'agenda Femmes, Paix et Sécurité est clair, lutter contre les violences, garantir l'accès à la justice, réformer les lois discriminatoires et assurer la pleine participation des femmes. Pourtant, les avancées restent insuffisantes, faute de moyens, de volonté politique et de suivi. Le réseau des femmes parlementaires de l'Assemblée parlementaire de la francophonie a décidé de se saisir du sujet. Dans le cadre de ses actions de coopération, le réseau a organisé des séminaires de sensibilisation parlementaire à l'agenda Femmes, Paix et Sécurité en Serbie et au Sénégal, ainsi qu'un atelier dans le cadre de la Commission de la condition de la femme de l'ONU. Face à ces défis, le rôle des parlementaires est essentiel. À travers ces actions, nous avons identifié des priorités concrètes, renforcer les cadres législatifs, améliorer le contrôle parlementaire, soutenir la société civile et développer la coopération entre femmes parlementaires, car face à ces crises globales, notre réponse doit être solidaire et transnationale.
Merci. A lot. Now we have the UN Special Reporter on Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today, I would like to talk to you about women with disabilities. Among the most marginalized groups of women are women with disabilities, who face multiple layers of discrimination. Women with disabilities are less likely to be nominated by political parties, less likely to receive campaign funding, if any, and more likely to face harassment. The intersection of gender and disability also means higher exposure to violence, greater economic insecurity, and cultural stereotypes that question their competence, leadership, and their right to speak in public spaces. Yet, when women with disabilities enter into politics, they bring transformative perspectives on care and support systems, social protection, accessibility, and equality. When persons with disability, especially women with disabilities, sit in parliaments, the institution becomes more representative.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Thank you all for your valuable inputs, and I'm really sorry for interruption, but we are running out of time, so I want to finish up this session. Now, let me turn back to our panel for final words. Dear panelists, you have the floor for 1 minute to share your concluding remarks. We start with Ms. Meryem Gökhan. Ms. Gökhan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Yes, I thank every one of you for your valuable insights and the contribution. It's very much important, and I think it's a very timely discussion that we have here. As I said in the beginning, that we're meeting at a time of heightened uncertainties and overlapping crises and wars are threatening peace, and of course, therefore, women and girls are the most affected ones again at the time. So it is actually up to us. We are the parliamentarians. We are in the parliament. It needs a political will. It needs, of course, action. And I very much thank you all for being here at the IPU, for sharing your experiences and your valuable insights. I thank you all again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gökhan, for your valuable contributions. And now, Ms. Petra Bayer, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Yeah, also thank you a lot for all these contributions. First of all, I'm very grateful to all those who mentioned that indeed there must be much more sensitiveness about women's issues among mayors, among judges, among institutions in general. So that means on the one hand education and training, but on the other hand also to include more women in all that institutions, because we are aware that we have something to add to this society. Second, I'm very grateful to the French colleagues to mention all these attacks on sexual and reproductive rights in particular. Indeed, there is a strong movement with much money, and we have to fight against that lot of budget with our commitment, with shared ideas, and with our to be convinced that our ideas are the strongest, and we have a clear vision to have gender equality. I also wanted to come back to the Rwanda situation. The Gacaca courts were mentioned. I also want to mention that we have at the Council of Europe a good example with a register of damage, where all that, what happens in the unlegal war in Ukraine, can be registered and can be made ready for a court case afterwards. And it's not only about damages, physical damages, but it's also, for instance, about rape and sexual violence. And last but not least, I'm very grateful to the Chinese colleague who shared with us this nice saying, women are half of the sky. We have a saying in Austria that we want half of the cake, but I suggest we should demand half of the bakery. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, Ms. Belen Sanchez-Luc has the floor.
Thank you very much. On behalf of UN Women, a very big thanks to all the members of parliament. You have demonstrated that there is commitment to put at the center women's rights protection, but also women's leadership to make a transformation. So I'm very honored to hear directly from you your commitment, and we hope that commitment from parliaments also transform into implementation and action. I want to highlight that at the recent Commission on the Status of Women in New York, just last month, there was the adoption of agreed conclusions where member states committed to advance gender justice. And many of you have discussed and presented the actions on ensuring women's access to justice. So this is an invitation for parliaments across the world to really look at the role of parliaments in the implementation of these agreed conclusions. I end by reiterating the commitment of UN Women to continue working with parliaments in the countries where we are collaborating, and to really encourage the IPU to continue advancing this very critical agenda. And thank you for posing these very important questions to us.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Now, Miss Emily Bisola Richard has the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, everyone, for your rich contributions. This is clearly a topic that is dear to all of us, so I really enjoyed the discussion. Really, if I can leave you with one concluding message, is that respect for IHL is something that can protect women and girls during armed conflict, but also has lasting effects after the guns have been silenced. So now, really, I urge you to go back to your home countries, use your legislative budgetary oversight powers to see how IHL compliance can be a reality. And in this respect, also, please do encourage your government to join or actively participate in the Global IHL Initiative. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, dear panelists and dear colleagues, for all your contributions. I hope today's discussion has given us renewed determination and valuable insights on how we parliamentarians can better protect the rights of the women and girls in times of conflict, combat gender-based violence, and advance their full participation in peace building and recovery. Thank you. Thank you all. Dear colleagues, please have your seats so we can move on. Okay, dear colleagues, we will now move to the hearing of the candidates for the position of IPU General Secretary. This hearing is an important opportunity for the Forum of Women Parliamentarians to hear directly from the candidates on their vision for the future of the IPU, and in particular how they intend to advance gender equality and strengthen the place of women in work, leadership, and priorities of our organization. I'm pleased to welcome the 4 women candidates for the position of IPU Secretary General. Ms. Dionysia Theodora Avgerinopoulou of Greece. And Ms. Anda Philip of Romania. Ms. Fatou Dieng Thiem of Senegal. And Ms. Cecilia Widegren of Sweden. In accordance with the alphabetical order by surname, I will invite the candidates to make their opening statements. Each candidate will have 6 minutes. We will then proceed to the questions from the floor. Questions may be addressed to all candidates or to one specific candidate. Before that, I invite Ms. Avgerinopoulou to give her statement. Ms. Avgerinopoulou, the floor is yours.
Gentlemen, Your Excellencies, it is the very first time that the IPU will have for sure a female Secretary General. It took us 135 years until we reached at this stage. But it is now time to celebrate the double female leadership with a female President and a female Secretary General, both leading the IPU. And it is time to celebrate all of us, the proud and dynamic women that, despite of our own issues back home, different from each of us, we are successful. We have been elected, and now we are here to help other women also to be successful in their lives, in their domains. Dear colleagues, I have submitted my candidacy for the position of the Secretary General of the IPU to make IPU more impactful and more instrumental. Apart from being an experienced parliamentarian and the first woman in my country to be elected as a chair of the Environment Committee and then the first woman ever to represent the Prime Minister of my country directly for the protection of our global ocean, I'm also a very capable administrator. I have worked at many international organizations, the EU at the UN, and the Global Water Partnership and the International Chamber of Commerce. I want to bring all of my experience, network, and capacities to the IPU for everyone, for our people. We have to optimize and modernize the IPU. We could make our work more impactful and more visible, including the work of the female parliamentarians. The IPU has shown great leadership regarding gender equality issues. The rules of the IPU are fair and gender balanced. We have this amazing forum of women parliamentarians, an amazing president of the forum, and an amazing bureau. However, we must operationalize the IPU further to better support women parliamentarians. We need the IPU to provide us with more opportunities to speak globally, more opportunities to make our work visible at the global level and back home to make our voices heard. If elected as the Secretary General of the IPU, I will work towards capacity building and education for all female parliamentarians. We will work closer with other international organizations, including the UN Women. We will also establish a dedicated fund providing financial assistance for women parliamentarians to promote their work and their projects back home and globally, and also to easier participate to our meetings. We will help women parliamentarians from developing countries and parliaments that need assistance. We will also, with your guidance and your support, launch a campaign to ensure that women get equal pay for equal work. We have to focus not only on the political, but also on the economic, the financial empowerment of women, because only then we can ensure that women will be able to be financially independent to become candidates for the elections, that women will have enough funds to support their electoral campaigns, and that they will be re-elected. As Secretary General, we will stand by the side of every woman parliamentarian, and both in developing and developed countries, because women, we need to support each other. Your Excellencies, today, only 27% of the members of the parliaments are women. Even less are speakers of parliament. Back home, even less of us become ministers. And when we become ministers, we are rarely entrusted very important portfolios. We are entrusted with soft policies portfolios only. So we have a long way to go together. And this is only fair because we are the 50% of the world. We are the 50% of the potential of the world. And the world deserves to rise by using its full potential. Ladies, the greatest power in the world is women power. We are the force of nature. When women rise, the world rises. I ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I invite Ms. Philip to give her statement. You have 6 minutes, Ms. Philip.
Thank you very much, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished parliamentarians. It's a great honor for me to be here today and to present myself as a Romanian and as a candidate for the position of IPU Secretary General. I have been with the IPU for many years, and together with you, I have seen it grow in terms of membership, in terms of relevance, in terms of impact. And I do believe that the Secretary General of the IPU should be a non-partisan steward with a realistic vision for the future. Someone who understands from within the challenges that the IPU faces every day. Parliaments under strain, rising expectations of delivery, matching ambition with limited resources. The next Secretary General will require deep institutional knowledge and the judgment to deliver in complex environments. And from that perspective, I do believe that I have a proven track record of building consensus among members, of working seamlessly with the political leadership of the IPU and delivering results. My strengths include diplomatic and mediation skills, political tact, and neutrality. My vision is for the IPU to be the best that it can be. Highly relevant and influential at a time when multilateralism and international law are under severe strain. At its best, the IPU serves as a unique catalyst for political dialogue and interparliamentary exchange. It shapes norms and guidelines for good parliamentary practice, and it works with parliaments to help translate our shared commitments and our principles into concrete action. My 3 core priorities reflect this. First, parliaments and MPs as peace builders. This is where the role of the IPU remains indispensable, and I believe we need to strengthen early warning and prevention, identifying and addressing risks before these harden into conflict. Second, demonstrable impact on global challenges, making our contribution across peace, development, and human rights more visible and more measurable. Third, cultivating respectful and inclusive societies. This includes defending human rights and human dignity, advancing gender parity and youth participation, and engaging in interfaith dialogue for more tolerant societies. In order to implement this vision, I will focus on better prioritization, partnerships that are fit for purpose, and accelerating modernization. I won't go into details. I would be happy to elaborate in the Q&A. I would like to refer to the IPU's gender work, which I consider to be one of the IPU's greatest strengths. Since its establishment 40 years ago, the Forum of Women MPs has brought about transformative change. You have shaped the IPU agenda, you have amended the IPU statutes and rules, and you have taken gender parity to the next level. I know for a fact that for the UN and many other international organizations, the IPU is truly a role model for gender-sensitive institutions. And today, we can indeed be proud of the fact that we know that the next IPU Secretary General will be a woman. My commitment to you as women parliamentarians is clear. I will be a strong gender champion. I will make sure that your voices are heard, not just at the IPU, but also at the United Nations and the other institutions of global governance, be it the WTO or the G20 process. I will advance our work on women, peace, and security. There are too many angry men with guns out there, and we need women to be at the forefront of parliamentary diplomacy. I will focus on combating violence against women through legislation and political action, because this is a major scourge that needs to be eradicated. I will invest in the gender partnership work, making sure that men are part of the conversations and part of the solutions. And I will advance the intergenerational exchanges to allow young women to receive the support and mentorship that they need in order to break through the glass ceiling and make a name for themselves in the world of politics. Ladies and gentlemen, I am ready to serve as IPU Secretary General. Our organization needs steady leadership, focused on delivery, respectful of its mandate and rules, and deeply attentive to the needs of our members. This period of crisis can become an opportunity for the IPU if we choose to seize it. For me, leadership begins with accountability to the members, and ultimately it is an act of service so that the IPU can be the very best that it can be. I thank you.
Ms. Philip, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. I now invite CM to give her speech.
Good afternoon. My name is Fatou Thiam from Senegal. Mrs. Chairman, I'm very honored to be here as candidate for Secretary General of the IPU. I am deeply grateful for this opportunity to bring my experience, my values, and my vision to this vital role. I am an African woman and a woman of conviction. I am a peace and security practitioner, a human rights specialist, a gender advocate, and a result-oriented person. I believe in the necessity of meaningful participation by all for a fairer and more equitable world so that no one is left behind. I also believe that what matters most is the people. Therefore, I will apply in my work a human rights-based, a gender-sensitive, and a youth-responsive approach to implement the IPU's commitment to democracy through the 2030 Agenda, the UN and the Women and Youth Peace Security Agenda, the Paris Agreement, and the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. With nearly 30 years' experience at the United Nations, I have strategic leadership to lead multicultural teams, bring cohesion in teams, manage and resolve complex crises through dialogue, mediation, and the promotion of a culture of peace and tolerance. In my opinion, women's issue is a cross-cutting issue, so we should put it all over. And with that, I can also foster and build effective and genuine partnerships to advance the mandated goal. I ground my action on the core values of integrity, inclusivity, impartiality, respect for diversity, transparency, and accountability. It is this expertise that I wish to bring to the Inter-Parliamentary Union to define objectives and strategic priorities for its institutional and operational effectiveness and enhance its role in multilateralism. For me, I would position the IPU as the global catalyst for responsive, inclusive, interconnected, and accountable parliament, driving action on peace, security, human rights, and sustainable development, ensuring gender equality and intergenerational equity, and that every voice counts, and most importantly, that no one is left behind in shaping our collective future. I will also foster national ownership, leadership, and responsibility to empower parliaments as active architects of peace, security, and sustainable development. My vision for the IPU is built on 3 pillars. First, diplomacy, parliamentary diplomacy that prevents crises before they escalate, to advance the nexus between peace, security, human rights, rule of law, and development in order to contribute to the prevention and management of conflicts, promote economic connectivity, and strengthen genuine partnership. Second, making inclusivity a concrete reality, one that is practiced and not only promised, to ensure that parliaments institutionalize and constitutionalize inclusivity so that everyone can live in a world free from fear, from want, and where no one is left behind. One where gender parity, intergenerational equity, and the protection of MPs, especially from violence and harassment, are non-negotiable priorities. My third priority would be digital democracy that serves and not subverts, enabling parliaments to harness digital tools ethically and responsibly while ensuring that technology contributes to democracy rather than undermines it. Today, the world is changing. Societies are evolving. Conflict have heightened with intensity.
Miss Thiam, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So I would ask for your support, and because we have the moral responsibility to act now for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Now I invite Ms. Weide-Green to give her statement. You have 6 minutes, Ms. Weide-Green.
That is just lovely. Thank you very much for that. How are you today? It's getting late in the day, and some of you are getting a little bit tired, so I try to keep this as interesting as possible. Bonjour, Madame la Présidente, Monsieur, Mesdames les députés, merci pour cette opportunité de pouvoir me présenter. Je m'appelle Cecilia Widegren. Je suis Suédoise. I'm Swedish. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come here and present myself. I am here to serve you as parliamentarians. I've been a parliamentarian for over 30 years. I stood in 8 elections. I decided to step down 3 years ago, but still, I'm elected to non-political positions in finance. But I'm ready to serve you as parliamentarians because I think it's time to add the dimension of parliamentarism to the Secretariat for a parliamentary organization. Throughout my life journey, I have been building trust. And that's what I come to you with. Over 30 years of experience of building trust. And why is that so important for the IPU? A unique parliamentary organization with its 137 years of experience and history, where you are the hands and the feet and the energy of this organization. Well respected, and can bring a room like this with world women from parliaments all around the globe, together with gentlemen, of course. But is this organization modern enough to deliver what MPs want and need to make the solutions for tomorrow? Is it attractive enough for MPs in a time when multilateralism is questioned? So let us be honest, you are not short of attractive global platforms that knock on your door. They want you to come to international conferences. You have many of those. So the real question is, how do we make the IPU to remain indispensable even tomorrow? What does it demand to be able to grow and to prosper for the future? The IPU builds something that's so totally unique. We build relationships in the rooms right here. But is that enough? It's very unique, it's very essential for the organization, for understanding, for negotiating, for mediating, and to deliver. But we need more to be able to attract more members of parliament to engage with the solutions that are so important for tomorrow. The IPU and the parliamentarians is the essence, and it should be seen all over the organization. Because you stay, you remain, and you're there, and that is the strength of the organization. Relationship building, but it's even more important for tomorrow to make sure we use the full potential of the organization. It is time to build trust further out there in our national parliaments and give you so much back when you are here, putting your time and effort for a whole week away from your constituency to bring home with you when you meet your friends in the Parliament and your constituents. We need to continue to build trust. And in the experience of having trust is what I would like to offer you to bring the IPU stronger for tomorrow. So how have I done this? I have spent my years building trust by listening and understanding. And even though I left Parliament 3 years ago, I came back to you. I've been back here, listening, trying to understand you, engage with you, and be part of the organization that you are. As Vice President of the IPU and Chair of the Finance Committee, I took an initiative to make the finances of the IPU long-term stable, an historical decision that now makes the IPU stronger than ever. I chaired the first working group on transparency, openness, and accountability, beginning of a very necessary process to open up and to build the IPU stronger with more trust, more accountability. So I have shown you, members of Parliament, I have shown you not only in words, but in action, that I share the values of the IPU. And that's why I stand before you today to show you it is time to take the next step for the IPU. You women MPs, you are needed more than ever in a turmoil time of where we are right now in the world. And the IPU legacy of having a world record of Nobel Peace Prizes, it is time to put the road forward for the 9th Peace Prize.
Ms. Weidegreen,
Thank you
your
very
time
much
is up. Thank
for
you very
doing
much.
that.
Thanks a lot. Dear colleagues, thank you. Dear colleagues, we will now move to question and answer segment. Given the time available for this exchange, may I kindly ask you to keep your questions brief and to indicate whether they are addressed to all candidates or to one specific candidate. I will now take the first group of questions from the floor. First group will take 5 questions, and then in the second group we'll continue. Please introduce yourself when taking the floor, and please be very, very brief. Lesotho, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentations that were made by our contestants. My question is generally to all of them. Seeing that there's a growing pushback against women in leadership, and specifically politicians, what is it that you intend to do to assist all member parliaments to have an increased number of women as members of parliaments? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now Morocco has the floor.
شكرا سيدتي. بالحق. Bonsoir, chers collègues. Le fait de présenter aujourd'hui 4 femmes candidates est presque une réponse à la problématique qui a été posée ce matin. Comment reconstituer le monde après les conflits? Et je crois que nous avons presque été tous d'accord que les femmes avaient un rôle primordial à jouer pour reconstituer le monde. Et la réponse nous vient tout de suite après, avec la présentation de 4 dames. 4 dames avec des parcours différents, des fonds différents, des expériences différentes, mais qui relèvent toutes de l'excellence demandée, sollicitée, et qui existe dans tous les profils que nous venons de voir. Mais je veux dire quelque chose de spécial, très spécial, à Madame Anda Philippe. Vous êtes le premier visage que j'ai contacté quand je suis venu à l'IPU. c'est votre sourire qui m'a marqué au départ. Et après, c'était votre efficacité, votre compétence, votre haut degré de communication. Combien je vous ai parlé, combien on a dialogué, mais j'ai toujours compris que vous aviez un profil spécial. Et aujourd'hui, nous avons besoin, au sein de cette institution la plus importante qui englobe tous les parlements, presque tous les parlements nationaux, nous avons besoin de votre compétence.
Thank you very much.
Merci d'être la femme que vous êtes et merci à toutes les autres candidates.
Any more questions? Any more questions? Yeah. South Africa has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President and honorable members. My question to all the candidates is that I just want to check with them. Did they have time to go through the last year toolkit that was launched in terms of gender responsive mechanism? If yes, what is it that is outstanding for them that if they become part of those who are successful, they would be able to execute? And lastly, I want to just congratulate them in advance because I have seen that their CVs and experience and skills, it's something that it can be utilized somewhere in the IPU if some they don't make it. And all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? There are questions. Tunisia, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame. J'ai 4 questions aux candidats. Comment comptez-vous faire en sorte que l'Union ne demeure pas une simple plateforme de dialogue, mais devienne un véritable levier d'influence capable d'impacter concrètement les décisions des États? Deuxième question, face aux violations du droit international par certaines puissances, êtes-vous prête à adopter des positions claires et courageuses, y compris lorsque cela implique de s'opposer à des acteurs majeurs? Troisième question, dans un contexte où les femmes sont particulièrement touchées par les conflits armés, quelles mesures concrètes et immédiates défendrez-vous pour assurer leur protection et garantir la redevabilité des responsables? Quatrième question, enfin, quel serait le premier acte fort et tangible que vous prendrez durant vos 100 premiers jours afin de démontrer votre engagement et instaurer un changement réel? Et merci.
Thank you very much. And last question comes from Ms. Cynthia Lopez Castro as the President of the Bureau of the Women Parliamentarians.
Thank you so much. Well, first, wish you all the luck to Dionisia, to Anda, to Fatou and Cecilia. We are very proud that we will have the first woman Secretary General in the story of IPU. My question is, could you have the plan to commit that the conference of women parliamentarians that we just have Mexico, we will have Serbia this year, it can continue in IPU? And what other ideas do you have for women parliamentarians of IPU? That will be, what is your plan for the Women's Forum? Which ideas you have? How can you help to keep promoting the number of women parliamentarians all around the world? Because if we have a female Secretary General, this organization has to have female lens and has to transform it to have women in the center. So I would like to listen your plan, and of course, the best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, dear colleagues, for your questions. And now I will invite the candidates to respond to the questions that have been put to them Each candidate has 2 minutes, starting with Ms. Avgarino-Polo. The floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your questions. Dear President, yes, I commit to continue support the conferences of women parliamentarians and also to support it more financially. And this is why I said that one of the 3 moves that I will do within the first 100 days is to establish a specific fund for financing the actions of women, the Forum of Women Parliamentarians, the meetings that we do, and also to be able to help with women from developing countries and developed countries, if it is necessary, to showcase their work globally and also back home, because we need to support each other, we need to advertise each other, and we need to make sure that our voters, the people that we count upon, they know the quality of our work. And communication, it is very important. So we need the funds, and also we need the education. We need to do capacity building for all women parliamentarians, both in developed and especially in developing countries and the small island states and in the least developed countries. It is important to empower women, and it is our duty to do so. And of course, when we have more women in power, we have more respect to human rights and more respect to peace and democracy. Because women, we are here to support dialogue, we're peaceful agents, and if we have more women, we are going to have more world peace. Thank you very much for every discussion that you have made, and I'm sure that having a Secretary General woman, it will empower IPU and the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Ms. Philip, you have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. To the honorable delegate from Lesotho, yes, there is a lot of injustice in the world, and we cannot be innocent bystanders. We cannot be silent. I think we need to be speaking up more. We need to be redoubling our efforts, and certainly we need to be pushing back on this pushback on gender equality. The question from South Africa, yes, indeed, I think we can be proud of the norms, the criteria, the tools that you have developed in order to advance the political empowerment of women. The gender support mechanisms, the 10 actions for gender equality that were launched last year in Tashkent. And I think all of us can be leading by example in showing the impact of our work. And I think this space, this assembly, shows that we are ahead of the curve in the sense that the average of women in parliament is 27.5%. At our assemblies, we systematically see 36, 37% women. And again, the forum has really transformed our organization. Tunisia, you are absolutely right. The credibility of the IPU depends on how we show the results of our work. It's great that we meet, we talk, we adopt resolutions and other decisions, and that is why, for me, a priority will be making that effort to better measure and reflect the impact of our work. And I think that will also enhance the credibility of the organization. Yes, we are a community of values, of principles. We need to uphold international law, international humanitarian law, and to speak up courageously when these very fundamental norms are not being respected, irrespective of who the perpetrator is. The first act for the first 100 days, well, we're going to be coming out of this assembly with a new SG and a new strategy.
Thank you. Ms. Thiam, you have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you. I have seen 3 main questions. The first is how to address the pushback. Second is about implementation of commitment. And the third is action to further advance the gender agenda. This is how I... So for the first one, regarding the pushback from Lesotho, I think what is important is to remove barriers preventing women from accessing equal socio-economic opportunities in relation to inclusive leadership, education, etc. And also enacting legislation that removes discrimination and socio-economic barriers for women by ensuring the protection and respect for human rights of women and girls. And also, with regard to this pushback, ensuring political representation of women by legislating compulsory gender quotas in every election, for example, and also quotas or reserved seats in political parties. So now, with regard to how to ensure the implementation of commitment, I think we have already. I have already said it in my statement. We should make inclusivity a reality that is not practice. That is practice and not only promise. So I think we are here as a gender advocate, as said, to ensure that all relevant global commitments regarding women are implemented, because SG is here to implement, to ensure that we put in place some benchmark and
TM, thank you very much.
Oh,
thanks a lot.
It's too. Thank you.
Thank you. You'll have another 2 minutes. If you want, you can continue answering these questions. Mr. Vida Green, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And since the Chair only given us 2 minutes for so very many beautiful questions, please come up to us afterwards and continue the discussion, because it's hard otherwise for us to include all the good answers that we need to give. I would like to conclude also by 3 things. For the first, many of these questions are questions going straight to the Executive Committee and the President. These are questions for the governing bodies of IPU, not for the Secretary General to decide on. The Secretary General is for the parliamentarians, here to serve you. Well, those decisions has also been taken in those bodies. And it's very important, I think, for the engagement and the future of the IPU that you MPs are even more engaged in the processes tomorrow, and that you will do in your governing bodies. Second of all, you mentioned women in processes, and so important. There are so many scientist reports on when you include women in the processes. For example, in peace talks, you get more long-lasting deals and peaces. So engage with women, have them in the peace talks, in Islamabad, in Kiev, in all the crises. Where are the women around the table? Even though scientists and reports say it's time to include women in the peace talks. And last of all, I brought the bucket with me, the IPU bucket, because I listen. So please put in the proposals for what you want to receive for the future of the IPU. It is time to fill it up. It's time for MPs to be even more engaged in the IPU of tomorrow and make sure that the Secretary General is working straight away for you. You are this membership organization. Make sure it stays that way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we'll take one more question from Gambia, and then give each candidate 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. And first, I'll have to give a very big thank you to the outgoing Secretary General, Mr. Chungo, for the outstanding work that he has been doing with IPU. And I hope the incoming Secretary General will emulate Mr. Chungo. Mr. Chungo and the entire delegation, thank you very much for the outstanding performance that you've done entirely during the IPU sessions. Madam Chairperson, I will have to also thank the incoming or the candidates vying for the position of the Secretary General. Notwithstanding, I will ask on the relevance to the Gambia, which is the climate change, youth unemployment and migration, youth unemployment, gender-based violence, and migration are top issues for Gambia. How would you mainstream these into IPU debates and actions? And point 2, what will you do to strengthen links between the IPU and regional bodies like ECOWAS Parliament? And lastly, we all know gender-based violence in connection to the FGMC is always an issue in Africa. What would you do as the incoming Secretary General to make sure that the gender-based violence with regards to the FGMC will be supported to make sure that it will be banned and laws will be passed to maintain this in countries that are in affection with? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll take a short question from Chile for 1 minute. Short one, please.
Gracias, mis felicitaciones a todas las candidatas. Es un honor ser parte de esta discusión y poder por primera vez tener el orgullo, como UIP, de tener una mujer como secretaria general. Creo que eso lo valoramos todos. Pero a su vez preguntarles, hay candidatas mujeres también hoy día postulándose a la Secretaría General de Naciones Unidas. En lo propio, como representante de Chile, tenemos a una expresidenta, Michelle Bachelet, que está postulando a ese cargo. ¿Cuál es la injerencia que pudiéramos tener nosotros a efectos de poder tener también por primera vez una Secretaría General en manos de las mujeres y cómo sería para ustedes esa coordinación? Para mí es un viaje sin retorno, tenemos que avanzar desde todas las organizaciones, sobre todo internacionales, para que se haga efectivo aquella representación que nos convoca a todas. Y lo segundo, muy cortito, ¿cuál es la opinión que ustedes tienen respecto a la violencia digital, femenina particularmente, o la violencia política digital, que hoy día golpea profundamente a la democracia y hace muchas veces muy difícil de participar en organizaciones y también en nuestros propios espacios políticos a propósito de lo que estamos todos viendo? Esa sería mi segunda pregunta. Felicitaciones a todos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I will invite candidates to respond, beginning this time with the reversed order. Ms. Videgreen, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much for this dialogue together with you. It is time to show that we can bring some actions. And we started the IPU before the UN, so we were in advance also then. Now it's time to do the same thing for the Secretary General election, and hopefully we will be a role model within the IPU for the UN even this time. So of course that is a benefit, showing the road, 137 years and the 70 years. It is very important to get down to business, to be active and going to actions. And there are different ways of doing that. I will ensure, as a former parliamentarian, to make sure MPs are even more engaged in the action planning on where the IPU is heading tomorrow. For the different kind of issues that are raised on climate, on gender-based issues, and so forth, and violence and digital discrimination. There are so many issues out there. You need to get engaged. There are different kinds of ways of doing that, by platform, by seminars, because I really would like the IPU for tomorrow to give even more for you when you go back to your constituencies, to bring back to your national parliaments. You can have direct actions for your constituents. You give so much of your time here in the IPU, so it's so relevant for you to have the activity going all the way back to the mailboxes and the villages where you come from. That's where we should work with an action plan for these questions that you both of you raised. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, Ms. Thiam, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I think Gambia and Chile raised the issue of protection, violence against women, and I think what I would like to emphasize is that it is important to highlight the responsibility of national ownership. I think at the national level, I think MPs have a responsibility to ensure that international obligations are translated into law, national law, domesticated, to address the issue of violence against women. I think this is one step. The second step is that it is important to raise awareness on these protection issues and ensure that also having some capacity building for women. As we said, sometimes it's a lack of understanding, but I think it is important to do some capacity building for the women to know better their rights, but also as Parliament to enact this into national law and domesticate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Philip, the floor is yours. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and I would like to finish my response to Tunisia. We will be coming out of this assembly with a strategy, so one of my first jobs would be to sit down with the team and to see what would be the best proposals for the implementation of this strategy, work plan for next year, and certainly a proposal of a budget that would be submitted to the IPU governing bodies in October. The question from the President of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians, absolutely, the fact that we now have an annual conference of women parliamentarians, I think is a very important gain that needs to be supported. I also note with pleasure that other major processes such as the G20 Speakers Summit has now incorporated a women's meeting as part of its overall work. So this is something that we need to be taking forward. And of course, mainstreaming gender parity throughout our process and activities at the IPU, but also working with our members so that this happens at the level of national parliament as well. I would love to see every parliament in the world to have somebody like Martin Chungong as a gender champion pushing the agenda in the national parliament. And from that perspective, I echo the words from Gambia. Indeed, we owe a huge debt of appreciation to Martin Chungong. I certainly have learned a lot from him, and he has made our organization more inclusive, more respectful, more relevant, and he's leaving big shoes to fill. You've raised big issues, and indeed, I believe, and I mentioned this in my presentation, through partnerships, we can maximize the impact of our intervention. And certainly, the UN is ready for a woman Secretary General. The IPU has often been ahead of the curve, and I'm hopeful that it will be this time as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Ms. Avgarinopoulou, you have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I would also like to acknowledge Martin's contribution. The IPU, to our eyes, is Martin himself. I'm really inspired by his leadership regarding the necessity for the UN to have a female candidate. We fully support it. I happened to meet with a Chilean candidate in New York. I invited her to come to Greece and meet with the Prime Minister of Greece. And I suppose that we will be supporting a female candidate for the UN. Regarding the female genital mutilation and cutting, this is a violation of human rights, and we have to start a very dynamic campaign and inform everybody, the organizations, including the judiciary, about it. It is very important. We have to use also social media to spread the word and to use the digital communications, not to be only against politician women, but for us. This is why I would like to enact this fund that I was telling you about for female parliamentarians. This will also give us the capacity to work through digital media and propose and promote more the work of the female parliamentarians. And regarding climate change, I would like to tell you that I am an environmental lawyer. I understand the issues of environmental emergencies and natural disasters and how women, they're more fragile in these situations. And I would like to mainstream more the protection of climate and the protection of gender to our work. Thank you very much for being here, and I hope that we will be able to work with all of you more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dear candidates, thank you very much for your participation in this hearing and engaging with the Forum of Women Parliamentarians. We wish you good luck with the next steps. Thank you. Dear colleagues, thank you for your question and contributions as well. Thank you. Dear colleagues, let's turn now our attention to item 7 on the agenda. The Forum of Women Parliamentarians is required to fill 2 vacant seats on the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians. 1 regional representative from the African group to replace Ms. Coulibaly Do, who is no longer a member of the Parliament. 1 regional representative from the Asia-Pacific group to replace Ms. Teka Tewera, who is no longer a member of the Parliament. I call on the Secretary of the Forum, Ms. Zeina Hilal, to let us know if nominations were submitted to the Secretariat.
Thank you, Madam President. Indeed, nominations were submitted by the 2 geopolitical groups, starting with the African group, who has submitted the candidature of Madame Yaba Adel Aseke from Côte d'Ivoire to replace Madame Coulibaly Dao, also from Côte d'Ivoire, and 1 candidature from the Asia-Pacific group from Ms. Dorji Wangmo from the National Assembly of Bhutan to replace Ms. Tishiterawat, who was the member of the Bureau from Thailand.
Does the Forum agree? Please vote by acclamation. Acclamation, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. And congratulations to Ms.
Aseke from Côte d'Ivoire and Wangmo from Bhutan.
We look forward to working with both of you in Bureau of Women Parliamentarians. Now let us consider the report of this morning's working groups. I'm pleased to have the 2 rapporteurs from this morning's discussion groups join me on the podium to present their reports. Let's start with the report of Group 1. Ms. Macau, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Chers collègues, j'ai le plaisir de rendre compte des débats ce matin dans le groupe 1. Nos échanges ont porté sur le thème du projet de résolution de l'ordre du jour de la Commission permanente sur la paix et la sécurité internationale, intitulé « Le rôle des parlements dans la mise en place de mécanismes solides de gestion post-conflit et dans la restauration d'une paix juste et durable ». Madame Cynthia Lopez, présidente du Bureau des femmes parlementaires, a présidé notre débat. 28 délégués ont pris la parole, soit 27 femmes et un homme de 27 pays. Le groupe a tenu à rappeler une réalité trop souvent occultée dans les débats sur la gestion post-conflit. Les femmes et les filles subissent la discrimination, la violence et la marginalisation bien avant l'éclatement des conflits. Ces inégalités structurelles constituent des facteurs d'aggravation des crises. C'est pourquoi notre groupe a affirmé que l'égalité entre hommes et femmes est une condition préalable à la paix. Nos parlements ont ici un rôle déterminant. Adopter des lois en faveur de l'égalité, c'est investir dans la stabilité. Le groupe s'est accordé sur un constat fondateur. Les femmes et les filles subissent de manière disproportionnée les conséquences des conflits armés, aggravation des risques pour leur sécurité, perte de leurs moyens de subsistance, interruption de leur éducation, effondrement de leur bien-être, mais elles ne sont pas de simples victimes. Elles sont des actrices essentielles de la consolidation de la paix, du recouvrement et de la réconciliation. Les données démontrent que les accords de paix auxquels les femmes participent activement sont plus durables. Une attention particulière a été portée aux femmes et filles déplacées et à leurs besoins spécifiques. La traite des êtres humains a également été mentionnée comme une préoccupation grave. La situation des survivants de violences sexuelles liées au conflit a fait l'objet d'une mention explicite. Pour elles, l'accès à des services d'appui médicaux, physiologiques, sociaux et juridiques, ainsi que l'accès à la justice sont des conditions de dignité et de réintégration sociale. La redevabilité envers les survivantes est un pilier incontournable. Le groupe a réaffirmé l'importance capitale de la résolution 1325 du Conseil de sécurité des Nations unies, ainsi que les résolutions complémentaires de l'agenda femmes, paix et sécurité. Il souligne que les 4 piliers prévention, participation, protection et redressement doivent être pleinement et explicitement intégrés et se traduire en obligations législatives concrètes. Un consensus fort est émergé au sein de notre groupe. Les femmes doivent être à la table de prise de décision. Leur participation pleine, égale et effective est une condition de légitimité et d'efficacité des processus de paix. Les organisations dirigées par des femmes et les défenseurs des droits humains ont été reconnus comme des agents de paix et responsables, qui méritent protection active, reconnaissance institutionnelle. Plusieurs délégations ont souligné l'impératif de garantir l'accès des femmes et des filles aux services essentiels comme des leviers d'une reconstruction durable. Sur le plan budgétaire, le groupe a souligné que les budgets de reconstruction doivent inclure des ressources dédiées à l'égalité de genre, au soutien de survivants de la violence sexuelle, de l'autonomisation des femmes. Affirmer que les femmes sont prioritaires sans allouer les ressources correspondantes est une promesse vide. Enfin, notre groupe a affirmé avec une voix collective que l'égalité du genre doit être placée au centre de toute stratégie de reconstruction post-conflit. Nous aurons désormais la tâche de se traduire ces orientations, le cas échéant, en amendement au nom de notre forum à la Commission permanente de la paix et de la sécurité internationale, qui débutera ses travaux demain. Et je vous remercie.
Thank you, Ms. Mikau. You have done an excellent job summarizing the very useful recommendation from the discussion. Now I invite the forum to adopt the report by acclamation. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. Let's hear the report of Group 2. Ms. Clayton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and a lot of gratitude for those of you who are still in the room at this late hour in the afternoon. I'm really pleased to be able to present this report on the debate in Group 2. The debate focused on the draft resolution entitled Building a Fair and Sustainable Global Economy, the Role of Parliaments in Combating Protectionism, Reducing Tariffs and Preventing Corporate Tax Avoidance, presented by the Standing Committee on Sustainable Development. I really want to say an enormous thank you to my chair, Professor Abanyan from Saudi Arabia, who chaired this debate this morning, and the 15 delegates who took to the floor to participate in the conversation. And I want to thank all of those colleagues for the substantive contributions that they've made to the theme of the resolution from a gendered perspective. The discussion highlighted that trade, economic and taxation policies are not gender neutral. They do not benefit or affect everyone in the same way. Women, more often than men, occupy informal, low-paid jobs. Tax avoidance harms women the most, as it diverts resources from healthcare, education, childcare and other services that underpin women's economic participation. Unfair trade and taxation also disrupts the social fabric and affect women disproportionately. As consumers, as workers, as business owners and entrepreneurs, women must receive the dividends of global trade. The 2024 WTO Statement on Inclusive and Sustainable Trade through Gender Equality provides a good basis for this work. But we must move from commitment to enforcement, from intention to action. Now, how do we get there? First, international trade agreements, credit and public procurement policies must be intentional in their gender targets and their gender impact assessed so that we can lift women out of poverty and promote their access to markets and entrepreneurship at national, regional and global levels. Second, we need to secure equality in our laws by domesticating the CEDAW Convention, and this way we can lift some of the structural barriers of women's economic empowerment and guarantee equality at work through equal pay and protection from workplace harassment. Third, we need to mandate gender-responsive budgeting, taxation regimes and social protection schemes. Tax justice is gender justice. And fourth, we must ensure that existing programs are accessible and effective, for instance, by providing skills development opportunities on trade for women. Fifth, we need to promote women's leadership across the board, in particular throughout the economy. Data shows that having more women on corporate boards leads to less tax avoidance. And finally, we need sex disaggregated data to equip our parliaments with the adequate mandate, resources and expertise to monitor and enforce gender-related commitments through trade agreements and taxation regimes. Colleagues, we will now work on proposed amendments to ensure our main points are integrated into the draft resolution before the Standing Committee on Sustainable Development. And I sincerely thank you for your attention in this late hour this afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Clayton. You have done an excellent job summarizing the very useful recommendation from the discussion. Now I invite the forum to adopt the report by acclamation. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear colleague. I take it that amendments to the resolutions will be drafted and presented to the Standing Committee for the chairs and rapporteurs of the working groups will be promoting these amendments in the Standing Committee deliberations. Now, I would like to recognize Mr. Sera from Indonesia, member of the IPU Executive Committee, for having been with us all day today. Thank you. Thank you. We need more men allies like you, Mr. Sera. Also, I recognize the other men who are with us all day today. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Now, colleagues, we are coming close to the end of this session of forum. I would like to remind you that the next session of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians will take place during the upcoming 153rd Assembly in Arusha, Tanzania in October 2026. I'm very pleased to invite our colleague from Tanzanian National Assembly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You have the floor, dear colleague, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President, Honorable President of the Women Bureau of the IPU, Honorable Speakers and Heads of Parliaments from member nations, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Her Excellency, our President, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of United Republic of Tanzania, the government, the parliament, and the people of Tanzania, I welcome you all to Arusha. Arusha, a city of diplomacy, wild animals, and mountains. I say, Karibu sana Tanzania. That means welcome to Tanzania, Arusha. It is a profound privilege for Tanzanians to host the 153rd Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. I want to say, your confidence in us is a responsibility we accept with humility and resolve. Arusha is more than a conference city. It is a seat of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, and Arusha is the headquarters of East Africa Community. This is where Arusha diplomacy meets culture, and Arusha, this is where dialogue turns into action. While you are here, beyond the debates and resolutions, I invite you to experience the so-called ukarimu. Ukarimu, the Swahili spirit of hospitality that comes from the heart. Visit Mount Kilimanjaro, visit the Serengeti and Ngorongoro. Above all, meet the Tanzanian people. We are a nation built of peace, unity, and ujamaa, the principle of familyhood. We will do our utmost in collaboration with all key stakeholders to ensure this assembly is successful and that your stay is memorable and you will experience unforgettable Tanzania. Once again, you are most welcome to the land of the Maasai, to the land of Ngorongoro and the Serengeti, and the Spice Island of Zanzibar. With the white sandy beaches, Tanzania, we want to say there will be no problem, Hakuna Matata. Most welcome, Karibu sana. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We appreciate.
Thank you very much, Madam. And we look forward to our next session in Arusha. Now, dear colleagues, our task is coming complete for today. I wish to thank you for your hard work and participation in the 41st session of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians. It has been a great pleasure for me to chair it. Now, I'm pleased to give you Ms. Cynthia Lopez Castro. I'm pleased to give you floor again.
Thank you so much, dear Fatma. I want to congratulate you because you did a great job in this Forum of Women Parliamentarians. Thanks for hosting this great conference. Thanks for receiving us in your amazing country. Thanks for trust IPU to make this conference in Turkey. We feel very happy, very proud, and I would like to give a special gift for you, so you always remind this important assembly. So thank you so much, and it will be a great honor to have you in the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians for the next 2 years, and this conference will be memorable for us and will be always in our heart.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I will keep and cherish this for the rest of my life. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Dear colleagues, I hope you have a very fruitful 152nd forum and you have a great time in Istanbul. And I'm thrilled to use my honor to declare the 34th session of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians adjourned.